The views and opinions expressed on the following program may not necessarily reflect the views of the staff, management, or board of Hope Media Group and KSBJ. It's what's happening around us, in our town, suburb, city, in our community. It's Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Hello and welcome to Community Beat. We're keeping you tuned into the topics that are impacting our local communities and helping them thrive. I'm your host, Kim Kasi McKee. And today we want to focus on an organization that is all about mentoring youth and helping them to reach their highest potential. Joining us today is Danielle King, the faith-based program manager, and Shun Johnson, director of recruitment at Big Brothers Big Sisters. Welcome, ladies, and thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Well, for starters, just tell us about yourself and how you became involved with Big Brother Big Sisters. We'll start with you, Shun.
So I was working with a homeless here in Houston for about the last 2 years. And prior to that, I was a stay-at-home mom. And prior to that, I worked with a battered women and children's program. So I've always sort of lived my life around the nonprofit arena.
Wow, that's awesome. How long have you been with Big Brother Big Sisters?
1 month.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. So brand new.
That is awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining us. And what about you, Danielle?
Yes, Kim. I started with the organization as a volunteer, actually, back in 2011 when I was in college. Fell in love with it. I thought it was amazing and moved to a different state and became a volunteer again. Still thought it was amazing. So I decided to intern at a different Big Brothers Big Sisters back in California. Loved it. I loved that the mission on the outside matched the mission on the inside. And so I applied to be an employee at a different Big Brothers Big Sisters agency in California. Did that before COVID. And so it's like, oh man, went back to grad school, moved to Texas and applied to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Houston. So I've been very involved with this organization. I love it. I think the volunteers are great. I think the employees are great. And I specifically chose Houston to be closer to home in Oklahoma.
Wow, that is amazing. You have quite a history with Big Brother Big Sisters, and it's wonderful to see how you began as a volunteer.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Well, I'd also like to say that the President CEO Pierce Bush is a member of our President's Council here at KSBJ and has served faithfully for many years.
That's awesome.
Yes. And so we can vouch for the leadership of the organization for sure. And we're just proud to be a part of what you guys are doing. So tell us, what is the mission of Big Brother Big Sisters?
To create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. Yes, ma'am.
So really, Danielle, it's about one-on-one mentoring, just one life at a time.
Yes. And in short, Shun, you wrapped that up so beautifully, but we like to say we are defenders of potential. Absolutely. And so with that one-to-one mentorship, pouring into a youth in the community, basically holding up a mirror to them. We are not superheroes in any form. We are ordinary people who show the children that we serve the light inside of them.
That is so awesome. Now, I also heard you mention California, which says to me that Big Brothers Big Sisters is far beyond Texas. Yes, so tell us, how far reaching is it?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. And what I did not add is the second time that I was a volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Arizona.
Wow.
So I've been connected to a few different offices in 4 different states now. But to answer your question, I don't have the metrics exactly, but it's definitely worldwide as far as the United States. And so, Shun, if you have...
It is a nationwide program, and they do have presence in other countries as well.
Awesome.
Wow,
absolutely.
Nationwide. That is incredible. So you mentioned 4 offices. I can't help but ask, which office did you like the best?
Oh, no. Kim, don't get me in trouble.
No, I'm totally teasing you.
But if I may add, every different office had a different audience that they served due to just where they were placed. And so my first office in Stillwater, Oklahoma, a college town, all the way to an office in Los Angeles, the volunteers looked different and the community looked different, but the same mission, same purpose, but just different interworkings. But to answer your question, I left them all the same.
Oh, that is the perfectly politically correct answer. I don't blame you. I love what you said, how the mission outside matched the mission on the inside. That's just not always a given, is it?
No, not at all. And that's why I fell so deep in love with it, because at the time that I was involved with the different offices, I was doing some soul searching, early 20s, moved away from home and wanted to feel a sense of community and connection, and remembered back in college how much fun I had with Big Brothers Big Sisters, did the volunteerism, loved that so much. And I thought, I wonder if I can get paid doing this. And the answer is yes, you can get paid doing what you love. And so that's how I got connected, and that's how I was able to see that the inside matched the outside.
That is wonderful. So, Shun, what are some of those programs and activities that you provide?
So we have a number of programs that are available. We have community-based programs, which is sort of the traditional ones that people think of, where you see the big and the little. That's what we call our adults are our bigs and the littles are our kids. So you'll hear us say that. So it could be a community-based program where you see them at the park. They go out to have dinner or lunch together. We have school-based or site-based programs where they go to the schools. We have an internet or e-based program where we use a platform where they can communicate almost exclusively online.
Wow.
So it's to meet the needs of our bigs and our littles.
Your bigs and your littles. So
yes, ma'am.
What's the age requirement for your littles? And I imagine there's no limit on the bigs as far as how old they can be.
No, ma'am.
But talk to us about that.
Yes, you're 100% right. There's definitely no ceiling as far as the volunteer age. We just ask that they're 18 and older.
Sure.
But for the littles, we serve ages 6 to 16, because once you graduate high school, although we do have resources that follow the youth in that transitional period, we want to get them where they're in that elementary, middle school, high school age. And so we feel we can be even more impactful. But yes, once a match is matched, if the little ages out, so once they do turn 18 and they're no longer formally a match in our program, we still encourage lifelong friendships. So we've had mentees who have invited their bigs to their weddings. So to answer your question again, Kim, 6 to 16, but once you're matched, we encourage that lifelong friendship.
I have a lifelong story to share. So there is a lady in the church that I attend in Fifth Ward she was a single mother with several children. Her youngest son, she really wanted to get him connected, and someone told her about Big Brothers Big Sisters. She wanted that male figure that could just really walk along with her kid. And he got connected with a man that literally helped to give him a perspective in life that he would not have had.
Yes.
And he walked along with this guy all the way from probably 6 years old. Now this man is in his 30s.
Wow.
And he has his own children now. And he is still connected to this man. This man has run for political office. He never forgets this family. And last year, he showed up at the lady's home because the lady at our church had lost connection with the mentor.
Yes.
And he showed up at her. He said, I was just hoping you still lived here.
Wow.
Oh.
And he came to see her and just blessed her and just told her how much his life was impacted by having Chad to mentor.
Wow.
Oh, that gave me chills.
That's amazing.
That story just came to me while I was sitting here.
That's so awesome, Kim. And to that story and to the point that I mentioned earlier, that's such an impactful story. And your listeners may think, oh, well, that big was probably extraordinary and did all of these phenomenal, incredible things. And I definitely don't want to take that away from the big, because I'm sure they were extraordinary. But just to my own experience when I was a mentor back in college, with not a lot of life lived and definitely not a lot of
resources, probably.
Most definitely not a lot of resources.
Yeah.
You took the word out of my mouth. Just being present.
Right.
Just being consistent. I had the same time, the same day, every other week that I met with my little. And sometimes she would just call and say, "Hey, Danielle, I know it's not our regular match day. Are you busy?"
Mm-hmm.
And either I was studying or about to go to the grocery store or something, but she would just say, "Can I just ride with you? I just want to get out the house and talk. We don't have to do anything extravagant and extraordinary."
Yes.
And exactly what you said, Kim, the resources were little.
Sure, in college, absolutely.
But just being that consistent presence goes above and beyond. So I really appreciate you sharing that story. And I really want folks to understand it takes little to be a big.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is good.
I didn't come up with it.
Oh, that is good. It takes little to be a big. Well, the interesting thing is I was about to ask a question about how long can a person stay in that mentoring relationship? And I guess it is as long as they're willing to.
As long as both parties are interested in doing so.
To Shun's point, that may look like someone got a job opportunity and moved away or changed schools, or the list is endless with reasons why someone may have to close a match. And we still do that very formally. It's never just a ghosting situation or you no longer just hear from the person. Our agency has a lot of time and resources as well as research backed how we maneuver and ensure that the child prayerfully is better off when the match is over than when they came into the match. But I did want to share, we do ask a minimum commitment of 12 months.
Sure.
So as far as you go, we want more than 12 months, but we ask if you can just give 12 months of your time so we do ensure that the impact is more positive than not so positive.
Sure, absolutely. Why mentoring? Why would someone consider mentoring? What difference would that make?
I think it makes a huge difference in the life of the big and the little, because it gives an adult, a big, the opportunity to pour into them all of those life experiences that you've had, right? Good and bad. It gives you the opportunity to sort of say, well, I've walked that road too. Here's what I did. Don't do it. Or here's what I did. And it really worked for me. So that's important to remember. A lot of times people think that you have to have a college degree. You have to have these amazing job titles. That's not the case. All you have to do is be an adult who's willing to invest into the life of a child.
That's awesome. So tell me, is residency in Houston a prerequisite for people who are interested in becoming mentors?
No, ma'am. You can live anywhere in the greater Houston area. And we are actually trying to make a real push to get into the Fort Bend area. So all you have to do is live in the Houston greater metro area where we have a big that is willing to mentor.
Okay. So they can be in the Woodlands, in Katy. It doesn't have to be Houston proper.
Absolutely.
Just any of the surrounding areas.
Absolutely.
Magnolia too.
Yep.
Conroe.
We go out there.
Awesome.
Pearland,
Right.
So absolutely. When we say the greater Houston area, we really mean it. As long as we can we have an adult and a child and we are able to make a match, we will do it. Absolutely.
What are the chances of a family having more than one mentor? In other words, if there's a family of, say, 3 children and the mother wants a match for all of them, is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. I don't have the exact metrics, but again, just on life experience, when I was in college, my little sister had a biological older brother who had a big brother in our program. And we would do several things together because we both were in college and like, hey, let's go to a school basketball game or what have you. But to answer your question, most definitely, we actually encourage, if there are siblings in the home, to sign them up separately in the program so the sibling doesn't feel like they're missing out on anything. But it's still one-to-one. I really appreciate that question, Kim.
Yes.
We don't put all 3 siblings to one mentor.
Okay.
We definitely look for one mentor per child.
So do the children need to live in Houston to participate in the program as mentees?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
They don't have to live in it's the same thing if they're in the Houston area. So Pearland, Conroe, Magnolia, Sugarland.
What are some of the criteria you look for that the children need to meet in order to qualify for enrollment in your program?
So one of the things, and Danielle can certainly add on to this, but they have to be willing and have an interest in having a mentor. You know, your parents may be interested in having a mentor for you, but if the child isn't interested, no. So we want to make sure that the child is actually interested in participating and working with a mentor.
Sure, because obviously you don't want to force feed them.
No.
Most definitely not. Another qualification, if you will, of a child participating in our program, much like what Shun said, having a willingness, and also, for whatever the reason is, the family sees value in having an additional consistent adult in their life. And so that's a plethora of reasons. Maybe anyone listening coming from a 2-parent home who think that their children could participate or benefit from participating in our program think they couldn't because it's like, oh, we have a nuclear family, if you will. But if there is some reason why you feel that your child would benefit from having an additional support system in their life, consistent adult, apply. And we have specialists that you can speak to while applying for questions that you have. So we can definitely ensure that you meet those metrics. But I cannot think of too many things as to why a child may not be able to participate.
And age.
Yeah.
Their willingness and their age. Those are the main 2 criteria. That's all for the children.
Thank you for bringing that out, because I think it is easy to assume that it needs to be a dire situation, a single parent, either male or female, who needs that other support system, that listening ear. But what I hear you saying is that is not the case, that they can still enroll or apply.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
To the program.
Most definitely, Kim, because to that point, our bigs are not parental figures. We're not looking for additional parents.
Okay.
We're not looking for anything other than a friend. And so I feel that also adds to the ease of this program. We just want you to show up. Our agency provides activity opportunities. If you are accepted into our program as a mentor and you're paired with a mentee, you're big and little, you automatically get a YMCA membership for free. And so you know that those possibilities are endless, from swimming to sports to what have you. Really understanding we're just looking for responsible, safe adults to be consistent friends to these children.
Thank you. You said responsible, safe adults, and you're beginning to answer my next question. What is the vetting process like for the big, for that adult?
So as you can imagine, there's going to be a criminal background check.
Sure.
There is a fairly lengthy interview process. And it's also the interview process. And I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, it's invasive. It is not invasive for the purposes of being invasive. The whole point is to make sure that the match is a good one for the adult as well.
Sure.
So, so if certainly to keep the child safe, but it's also to make sure that the volunteer process or the volunteer engagement for the big is significant and meaningful. Because how many times have we volunteered at places and we're standing around and it wasn't the experience that we would have appreciated or wanted?
So what kind of time commitment are we looking at for a person that they're thinking of becoming a Big Brothers, Big Sisters volunteer or mentor?
So I think ideally it's 2 hours, an hour every other week minimum, but hopefully and prayerfully we would want something at least an hour a week, ideally.
Okay.
And if I can add to Sean's point into your question, Kim, it varies based on the program.
Absolutely.
And so Sean touched on our programs earlier, and we have site-based where the volunteer goes up to the school for 1 hour, and that's usually during the child's lunch, and they play board games, talk about school, have their lunch, and go on about their way. And then with our community-based, our more traditional programs, Sean hit it on the head, at least minimum 1 hour. But if you wanted to cluster more time, so if you knew you had an activity or a sporting event or a museum that you wanted to visit, if you pair those 2 hours per 2 weeks up, you can have longer time spent.
Okay.
Because again, we look for that consistency. So we don't want the volunteer to 1 week it's 1 hour, 1 month it's 3 hours, 1 month, so as humanly possible. We do understand things happen, and you as a volunteer also making time in your schedule to work with the little, but the time commitment can be as consistent as the volunteer can be with the little and their guardian.
It also sounds like you don't totally leave it up to them to try to figure out what to do. Because I would imagine some people would think, well, I don't know what to do with this 9-year-old kid.
Definitely. So like I shared, Big Brothers Big Sisters does have agency events, and we do have partnerships in the community that provide discount opportunities for mentors as well as the mentees. And when you're site-based, we have a Big Brothers Big Sisters staff person that facilitates programming. And so you have someone with training and experience on site that can help you with topics of discussion and what to do if, and things along those lines.
Excellent. So how can schools bring Big Brothers Big Sisters to their campus, Shun?
They can reach out to us, bbbstx.org. Just go online. We are so grateful and so ready to get into as many schools as possible to offer these services to our children. It's so important.
So if someone isn't ready to become a mentor per se, right now, are there some other ways that they can volunteer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a number of events that we have throughout the year. They can volunteer there. They can come and help out at our office. They can be spokespeople for us to go out to different sites and talk on our behalf, obviously after some training with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So there are a number of ways to engage with us.
What are some of your special initiatives that you have going on?
So we have our Amachi program, which is targeting children with incarcerated parents and family members, which is incredibly important. Because we know that a child whose parent or parents are engaged in the criminal justice system are 70 to 90% more likely to become involved with the criminal justice system themselves. So that is huge.
Yes.
So we are obviously wanting mentors to help children who have a parent who's engaged. But we also want parents to reach out to us or guardians who have a child whose parent is engaged in the criminal justice system. Reach out to us. We have, a mentor program available for those children.
Excellent. What are some of your other initiatives as well?
If I can touch on that, sure. Kim, and thank you, Shun, for so beautifully explaining our Amachi program. Our faith-based initiative is geared towards volunteers of faith base. And so we leave that broad because we don't want to discriminate against any belief. We feel that, again, it takes so little to be a big impact into a child's life. And so you do the same volunteer application and process, and you go through the volunteer interview stages. But with that faith-based background, we intentionally reach out to youth who their families are specifying that they want to mentor with a faith-based background.
Okay.
And then, Shun, anything that I missed out on that?
No, that's fine. We also have our military mentoring, which is incredibly important because we have children whose parents may be deployed.
Okay.
And then we have these incredible men and women who have served our community. So having them come back and mentor children, that is incredibly important. And so a fantastic opportunity to continue to give.
Awesome. So is there anything on the horizon for Big Brothers Big Sisters that you'd like to share with us?
So we are continuing to expand our footprint in Fort Bend County. We're also doing that for Brazoria County as well. We have a number of events that are coming up. We have our golfing event that is happening Monday.
Yes, Swing for Kids' Sake on Monday, May 6th.
So that is another way to get involved. We're always looking for donors and sponsors to help us continue to serve the children in our area.
And then, Shun, to your point, you mentioned us expanding our footprint in Fort Bend, which is 100% on the mark. And I also wanted to include Montgomery County since that's out where I am, and working with Conroe and Conroe ISD and Magnolia and everything, what have you, but Montgomery County as well as Fort Bend.
Absolutely.
All right. So since you are the faith-based program manager, Danielle, how can we be praying for big brothers, big sisters in the days ahead?
If a volunteer or a potential volunteer is led to our agency and has some sort of reserve, just pray that they give us a call. We can meet you where you are. There are so many different opportunities, and I know when the Spirit leads you and you are fighting against it, at the end of the day, you won't even win against that. But we're hard-headed at some point. So if you're like, man, I feel led to be engaged or being involved and want a productive way to do so where I can still be a light in this world and still be able to profess my faith comfortably, because that's not accepted in every organization. So I'm so thankful that Big Brothers Big Sisters sees the need in our agency in the greater Houston area, but as well as encourages faith-based programming. So to bring all of that back in, Kim, how anyone who is a praying person can pray for our program is if someone is led to mentorship but has some sort of reserve, just pray for their strength, because the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear. I had to throw that in. That's my best friend's favorite Bible verse, but just pray that they find the courage to reach out to Big Brothers Big Sisters Greater Houston and learn more information.
What would you say, Shun?
Pray for our children.
Amen.
Okay. Pray for them. That we do get the mentors, because there's so many right now of our little kids that are in real need of a mentor. Pray that, that adults step up and they're willing to come and help us out and get the mentors that these little ones need so badly, particularly our children, because that's near and dear to my heart from where I've served, that we actually have adults come help these children who have a parent who is engaged in the criminal justice system, because they need it.
So tell us, how can we follow along with Big Brothers Big Sisters? Someone's listening and they're saying, man, I do want to learn more. I am praying about this. I want to be a financial supporter, or whatever the case may be. How can they get connected with you?
Sure. So bbbstx.org. That's the best. All of those resources are on there. How to enroll a child, how to become a big, how to donate.
As I stated, I'm personally have been able to see up close and personally the value that this program has can make and has made. So again, thank you for joining us today, Danielle King, and also Shun Johnson from Big Brothers Big Sisters. And to learn more, you can visit BBB, that's 3Bs, stx.org/Houston. That's BBBSTX.org/Houston. And as always, thank you to our wonderful audience for joining us today. And we hope you'll tune in again next week for another edition of Community Beat. I'm Kim Kasi McKee on 89.3 KSBJ.
Thanks for joining us for Community Beat with Kim Kasi McKee. Join us every Saturday morning at 5:30 on 89.3 KSBJ.